Hello, folks. It's JR with Third Day Coffee Seguin. It's not my usual night to do a podcast, but we're just going to talk about a few things, things that have been going on, some explanations as to some of the reasons why you haven't seen me around and why I haven't been doing much. And then I'm going to talk a little bit about what's going on right now. And some of you know that Connie and I've been posting a lot of stuff about baking bread lately, and we'll get into that in just a little bit. But in January, I connected with one of my Army buddies, Marty Martinez, and he agreed to coach me to do several events this year. The goal was never to do events, the goal was always to get healthy. You know what? Before I start talking about this, I have got to tag some people because I was asked to tag people. So before we get all crazy into this, let me just tag a few people, and then we'll talk about what's going on. And I can't. Let me see who that is because I don't see names. Okay, here we go. Um, oh, what's up, Eric? How you doing, man? Um, okay, so I just got a tag right here. We're gonna tag Frank. Where'd he go? Oh, I can't do it like that, can I? I got to go to the other one. Okay, hang on. I got to go to one more. Let's go to here, my profile. Sorry, I should have done this ahead of time. I just didn't think about it. And now that there we go. Okay. Uh, what's going on, Crystal? Um, why is it not letting me? I got to do add, I guess. Oh, still not letting me do it. Anyway, let me try to one more way to do this. Let's see. Why is it not letting me? I don't know why. Oh, maybe because I'm on the wrong. Yeah, that's it. Okay. I got to switch. I'm sorry. I'm having technical difficulties, but I'm going to get this on the road really quick so I don't get. Hey, Frank, what's up? And there's Carrie already, so I don't have to tag anybody. Um, and anyway, I was going to tag, I actually am going to tag a couple more people. Hang on one second here. Because there's been so many people that have just bounced up into Connie and I's lives here recently and done all kinds of awesome stuff. And so, anyway, so what's been going on with me since April? Again, I started the beginning of the year um, with Marty Martinez as the coach. He agreed to coach me. He's been doing Ironmans since the '90s, and the idea was never to do an Ironman. It wasn't even in my scope. But we decided I was going to get healthy this year, and so part of that was going to be nutrition. Part of it was going to be exercise. And I started out the year pretty good. My first event was supposed to be in the end of April or first part of May. And what's up, Ginger? And I was supposed to do a 50-mile bike ride up in Waco. The next one was supposed to be the Hotter in Hell, which is the last part of August. Supposed to do a 100-mile bike ride in August. And then I was supposed to do the Waco um Ironman Waco, which is it's a 2 point something. It's a I don't know. It's a 1.4 mile swim, I think, and 60 miles on a bike. What's up, Nick? Um, and then and then you do a 13. You do a full a half marathon to finish the Ironman. And so we started off this year, and I was doing really good as far as hitting markers in my fitness. And in April, I made 40 miles, and so I was really a month ahead of where I needed to be for my first event, and everything was on track to be great. I was 300 pounds in January. I had already lost like 20 some odd pounds. I was feeling pretty good, doing things the way I've always done them. In other words, keto, no sugar, no, slow down on coffee drinking, all the usual stuff that I do. Um, and so one night at work, I ended up getting a very familiar feeling, and I passed 4 kidney stones. And so, and this before, it's not pleasant, but I knew what to do, and so um, I got through that. And then about 2 weeks later, I went back to normal, my normal day, day job, whatever, off a shift. And one day while I was going up and down the stairs, I realized that I had to stop several times because I couldn't get all the way to the roof. And I started having like shortness of breath. And being 52 years old, Hispanic, morbidly obese, the whole bit, everything that everybody's told me my whole life came flashing before my eyes. And I thought, this is it. I'm fixing to have a heart attack and I'm going to die. And so I went to the doctor and he's like, nah, you just have an infection in your prostate. And I'm like, okay, so what do we do? So doctor gives me a 21-day cycle of antibiotics, really strong antibiotics that made me sick, but I was still functioning fine. I did the 21 days and I got done with it. And probably a week later, I was in the ER for vertigo. And they couldn't tell me why. They couldn't tell me anything, just that I had vertigo. So I got through that about 2 weeks later. And then I went back to work and I started riding my bike again and trying to get back on track. And I'm like, okay, day one all over again. And so started, trying to eat better and do everything I was supposed to be doing from the very beginning. And granted, from April till like the end of May, almost June, I kept trying to self-diagnose myself. I kept trying to say, well, I can fix this. I can figure it out. It's probably just the sugar. It's probably just this, because I was shocking my body with exercise and everything else. None of that stuff worked. I finally, went to the doctor. Then the vertigo. And then afterwards, I went back to work, started riding my bike again, and immediately I started feeling really like the shortness of breath, couldn't get to the roof, more than one time or two times a day. And so I didn't wait this time. I called the doc. I went in and they put me on another 21-day cycle of antibiotics that were stronger than the first one. And they put me on a medicine to shrink my prostate. And so that's where the problem comes in. So 3 days after they started me on that regimen of medicine, I was so dizzy and weak I couldn't get out of bed. I'd get out for about an hour, walk around, go back to bed. So I called them and they changed my meds. I called them again on Monday. They changed my meds. I called them again on Tuesday. They changed it again. Still no change. Wednesday, I get completely fed up with the whole bit. And I called a friend of ours, Carrie, and she's actually in the comments here. And I said, look, this is what I'm taking for everything that they're giving me. And this is why I'm taking it. And can you please make me a list of all natural stuff that I can take to replace all that crap? And so that Wednesday, I ordered a bunch of stuff in. I got it in on Thursday. I started taking some of it Thursday, and started taking the rest of it on Friday. And that was 16 days ago that I started that. Um, I took all the pills, and you'll see them in a minute when I change cameras. All the pills that the doctor gave me that were making me sick, they were literally poisoning me. Um, and I switched over to 100% all natural supplements. And and within 4 days, the brain fog, and I don't know how long I had brain fog, maybe my whole life, I don't know. But anyway, uh, the brain fog lifted and my brain started functioning, I think, the way it's supposed to. I don't know, at least for me. So I know I'm going to get some smart comments about that. But um, I could tell there was a clarity, even when I was reading, when I was studying, when I was doing things. I noticed immediately there was a difference after 4 days of not taking all the medicines that I was supposed to take. Now let me tell you, I take 2 pills for blood pressure. I take a pill for arthritis. I take another pill in the evening for arthritis, and then I was taking some other stuff for different things, plus the antibiotics, and then the medicine to shrink my prostate. And so I quit taking all of that. And I'll show you what I'm taking now, all natural stuff. Um, One of the problems I've always had since I got out of service is sleep. I don't sleep. I sleep about 2 or 3 hours a night. And it gets to the point where I start like harping on it, and I'll go 8 or 9 days with 2 or 3 hours a night. And then I just crash. Like it just like, you know, hopefully it's on a weekend where I can just sleep all weekend, but it usually doesn't work out that way. And so that's one of the other things that I was having trouble with. And so um, I got a bunch of stuff, started taking it. And then Attached to the list of vitamins and things that I should be taking, Carrie also put in a video, which I'll share when I publish this. I'll share it in the link. It's about bread, and so uh, for those of you who know my wife, she's been gluten intolerant for years and years, and it's not something that it just makes her upset. If she eats one slice of bread, within an hour, she's violently ill. I mean, violently ill. And she'll be violently ill with GI stuff for probably 2 days. And then it'll be another 4 days before she can get her feet back under her and start functioning like normal. One slice of bread, it's all it takes. And so when I read that, and again, I'm trying to get clean of everything. I don't want any chemicals in my body, none whatsoever. And I really got scared this morning because my cuff said that my blood pressure was high, and so I was kind of freaking out. And then when I got to church, I took it again, and it said that it was like 190 over 120 or something like that. And I'm like, I'm going to code out any second. But we have a doc at our church, and Connie called his wife, and he brought his deal in, his cuff, and he took my blood pressure. My blood pressure was 132 over 80. 16 days of not taking the drugs that the doctor gave me, only taking natural supplements. And the doctor who told me that he didn't believe in all the natural stuff, he says, I wouldn't put you on blood pressure medicine. You don't need it because you're a little bit overweight, but if you lose the weight, your blood pressure get even better, your lower number, whatever. So my blood pressure was perfect. And again, that's 16 days of not taking anything the doctor gave me. Nothing. Okay. Okay. So back to Connie. Connie's got all kinds of issues with wheat. At least we thought. So this video that Carrie sent us, it's by Becker. Her name is Sue Becker, and she's a scientist. She's not just some bum off the street who decided to write a book or whatever. Um, and the funny thing is, you talk about divine appointments. The funny thing is, Carrie sent that to me. I sent it to Connie. She says, "Oh yeah, I think Carrie sent that to me a long time ago." And a lady at church had already gone past the video and was doing everything that we're going to talk about here in just a minute. And so she's got a bunch of kids. She's got 10 kids. Some of them are really, have food allergies and things like that. And so she's doing everything that Connie and I started doing. I know you've seen the videos. We've been baking bread. It's not just about baking bread. So, and I'm going to talk about that. I'm stealing kind of this lady's part of her program, but I'm the kind of person who doesn't trust anybody. There's very few people that I take their word for. When I had my knee surgery, I was taking 2 hydrocodones every 6 hours. That's what the doctor prescribed me. I started taking 2 hydrocodones every 2 hours. So Connie called Carrie because she said, I think he's going to OD if I leave him alone. And she came over with 3 different pills. One of them I'm still taking today. I make them and I take them, and 2 other ones. And within 3 days, I was completely off the hydrocodone. Didn't need it. Felt great. Recovered, went back to work. Everything's great. Had my shoulder surgery, which was orthoscopic. I did it on a Thursday on my day off. I didn't have to go back to work till Tuesday. I went back to work on Tuesday. Didn't miss a day of work. Taking all the pills that I make, for inflammation and whatnot. So I'm going to change the camera here in just a second, and I'll show you what we're doing. But I can't stress enough that this year scared the crap out of me. I really thought that I was fixing to have a major cardiac event. My whole life I've been told, you've got all the things against you. You're Hispanic, you're morbidly obese, you're not, you eat all the wrong stuff. And that's all correct. It's not false. But I grew up in a house where my mother made homemade tortillas twice a day. There was a stack in the morning and there was a stack at night. And so, yeah, there's all kinds of stuff. Well, let me see who posted that, because that's interesting. I need to write that down. So I take notes about everything. Shaughnessy. Oh, great. Shaughnessy, thanks for tuning in. You're going to love this. So anyway, I took all the stuff that they put me on, and I threw it all in a bag, and I'll show it to you right now. And then I went over to what I'm doing now. And let me tell you something. I'm not going to go over all of them because the Bible is just chock full of references to how we should be eating. The references, just look up bread. The references to bread, metaphorically and literally, are endless in the Bible. I mean, it talks about Jesus being the bread of life, the Bible being the bread of life, talks about, not letting people take your meal and whatnot. And so um, I'm going to talk about that with the whiteboard because it's easier for me to talk with my hands. But first, I got to change the camera. So sit tight, and I'll get this. This won't be as hard as what I did a few minutes ago trying to get. So we're going to change the camera here to my webcam. Yeah. And then I think I got to zoom it in because it's kind of far. So we'll zoom in like that. I don't know if you can still see. Let me see. You can see. Nope, that's too much. Okay. So let me pull this over here. Can everybody still hear me? Somebody put something in the comments. Can you still hear me? Am I still vocal enough? Uh, so I got to do a plug for Bicycle Heaven. I just bought a new bike from those guys. It's friggin' awesome. But I've been so sick I haven't been able to ride it, but it's coming soon. So anyway, okay, you can still hear me. Okay, good. All right. So first off, divine appointments. Nothing and nobody that you meet is by chance. I don't care what anybody says. I don't care if anybody tries to debunk you. You can try to whatever. You're never going to convince me that divine appointments don't exist. God puts people together for purpose, plain and simple. There is nothing else that you're going to get outside that. There's a reason why we met Carrie and Chris. There's a reason why we've met Sana. There's a reason why we've met Nathan and all these other people that we've met. It's just not by chance. Absolutely not by chance. So, divine appointments, really big, especially for me because I pray all the time, especially since I've been sick. I'm not the elf on the shelf guy, where you just put God up on the shelf and then you get sick and then you go, oh, God, please help me. That's not me. I pray all the time, all the time. So, what is all this stuff? First off, this is all the stuff I was taking. All the stuff on the top shelf is what the doctors put me on. That was my daily routine every single day. Nothing but big pharma chemicals. And it got to the point where, again, I was so sick I couldn't get out of bed. And I really was upset about the whole thing because I'm like, you go to people, and I know my doctor, he's a great guy, but he practices medicine. And he's not I don't know if he's a Christian or not. I don't know. I've never had that conversation with him. But God gives us everything we need, really. So this is what I'm taking now to replace all this. And the mushroom stuff, you can read all the different things. Even Connie came up the other day with with one of the mushrooms that is in this mix that does stuff for your brain health and all that stuff. This is the one that I take every day. This is for my blood pressure, and it's got all kinds of stuff. It's got hawthorn, feather, crump. I'm not going to read it all because I don't even know how to say half of them, but it's just got a bunch of root. It's got black cumin, it's got red sage, it's got all kinds of different stuff in it. And I will tell you, like I said earlier, I went from taking 2 different blood pressure pills twice a day to not taking anything, and my blood pressure is 130 over 80. So I don't care what any doctor says. Even the doctor today that told me he didn't believe in homeopathic or holistic medicine, he told me I didn't need blood pressure medicine, and that's what I take every morning. So there's something to it, folks. And this is for your immune. Uh, Actually, Sana Johnson just told me to start taking this magnesium because I don't sleep. And when I finally got to the full dose, which is 2 spoons before you go to bed, I slept like a rock. I haven't slept that long. I haven't dreamt in years because I don't sleep. And so last night was like the first night that in fact, I slept so good I didn't want to get out of bed, but we had church this morning, so we were there. And then this is what I call, ever since my knee surgery, I call this Carry Care Pharmaceutics. And to make fun of the pharmaceutical companies. But this is a recipe that Carrie gave us. and it's got turmeric and black pepper and cayenne and all kinds of stuff. And I buy the capsules on Amazon, and we get all the ingredients from a local place, and I make my own capsules, and I take, different. I vary how much I take depending on how I feel, but this takes the place of my Celebrex that I was taking twice a day. And so anyway, that's that's the medicine side of it, the big pharma side of the chemicals. I am literally not taking anything right now. I don't take. I didn't even want to. Connie was trying to get me to take something to sleep, and I'm like, no, I'm not doing it. I felt guilty about taking aspirin the other day, and I know it was. I had woke up with a bad headache, but I think it was something that was in the air, whatever allergies, and so we're starting some honey, local honey. And that'll be good for next year. Won't help this year, but anyway, we're going all holistic. In fact, my sister called me crunchy. That was beyond granola, and I'm gone straight to crunchy. So whatever that means. But I live in Texas, and I don't like California. So there you go. Anyway, so what is the wheat thing? I'm just going to throw a couple of things just so you understand. Then I'm going to put the thing in the links because I want to tell everybody about this. It's amazing. So Sana gave Connie some bread a couple of probably 2 weeks ago, and it was the first time in many many years that Connie actually ate a piece of bread and didn't half die from it. And so, again, I don't trust anybody. And when I watched the video, I started taking notes of things that she was saying. This doctor, this scientist, and I went down all the rabbit holes. And I started. I've got a journal that is just full of all kinds of interesting facts. And so, one of the things she says, she talks about whole grains. Whole grains are ancient. They go back to biblical times. You can read about it in the Bible. The oldest grain that has ever been found was 2,000 years old. And it was a Judean palm, date palm, a Judean date palm. And it was 2,000 years old. And they were able to get it to germinate and grow another date palm. So the grains, God gave them to us because they last forever. If you remember the story about Joseph, for 7 years he stored grain because there were going to be 7 years of famine after that. So that's 14 years right there that those grains had to last from the time he started storing them until the famine was over. So it's biblical. It's not just some, it's science that backs up the Bible. And I love it when that happens. And here's some more science to that effect. And I'll talk a little bit more about the grains in just a second, but um, there's a case in where was it at? It was in the Danish death rate. It's in this book that this lady's got, and it's not just a book that tells you recipes and things. She's got a lot of information in it. And one of the things that caught my eye, and of course I verified it because again I don't trust anybody. But I'll just tell you about in right before World War One. I'll just read it because I'm not going to get it right. So it says, where is it here? Uh, Throughout history, the health of various groups of people have been studied. Physical stamina, strength, long life, overall good health have been attributed to the dietary dependence on whole grains, particularly wheat. For instance, during the First World War, because of grain shortages, the Danish government issued a ban to large bakeries, preventing them from fracturing grains. I'll talk about that in a second. That's what makes grain bad today. The ban was intended to ensure that none of the limited grain supply would be wasted or discarded. The bran and germ portions, which are separated in that fracturing process, um, and the other components would all be used. Once again, people had to use their own. They had to mill their own flour in their homes and bake their own bread. During these difficult times, the Danish death rate dropped 34% each year that the ban was in effect. The death rate overall. Why is that? Well, because wheat has 40 of the 44 essential nutrients that our bodies need to survive. Wheat grain has 40 of the 44 nutrients that our body needs to survive. So when people tell you that man can't live on bread alone, they're lying to you. Uh, so grain, the oldest grain ever found was 2,000 years old. It's very storable. And it's the richest source of vitamin E. And I'm not even going to get into that. Go look it up. Look what vitamin E does for your body. It does all kinds of things for your heart to fight off different bacterias, and they take it out. They take everything out. So this is an ugly picture of a. I think you can see it. I'm gonna get on this side and turn this a little more. So there we go. So are y'all reading that or is it backwards? I can't tell. Can y'all see this or is it backwards? Because I'm looking at it and it looks backwards to me. Is it backwards? Do I need to mirror the camera? She just left California. I know. Anyway, somebody put something in the comments if you can read this. Otherwise, I'll switch it. But you can kind of get the idea. So that's an ugly picture. Okay, that's an ugly picture of a wheat berry, and a wheat berry looks like a brown grain of rice. That's how small it is. And on the very outside of the wheat berry is the shaft, and then just beneath that is the bran, and then over here off to the side is the germ, and then the rest of this is the endosperm, which is basically the protein and the starch. And so, of a whole wheat, it's got 40 new nutrients. The only four nutrients that wheat doesn't have is A, vitamin C, which you can get in peppers and fruits, vitamin D, which you can get by walking outside, and then lysine an amino acid. And I haven't done any research on that yet, or vitamin A, what the richest sources are for those. But I'll have to look all that up because I suspect you can survive on a couple of fruits and bread that's milled from whole grain, that nothing's been taken out of it. And so what happened was at the beginning, of the century, last century, right, 1900, they started milling these things. And what they were doing, they were taking the bran and the germ out of it, and they were just leaving you with the protein and the starch, or the gluten and the starch. And then, because it looked funny, because it made it shelf stable, that's why they did it. That's why they separated. All the good stuff, the germ and the bran and everything else, went to animal feed, to feed our cows and whatever else. So there's big money in that. But the really big money is to put a product on the shelf that's shelf stable. Once again, they're always screwing with our food, right? So this thing had little specks in it, so they bleached it. Well, the bleach that they've been using since forever has all kinds of a history of causing all kinds of mental health issues in laboratory animals, all kinds of illnesses, and all kinds of crap. So what did they do with the germ and the bran? Well, if you go back and you do more study, and you'll find out that back in the days of slavery, the slaves would do all the cooking, and they would, when they milled the wheat, they would take the white, the fluff, the protein and the starch, and they would make white bread for the masters, for the owners. And then the rest of them, they would make their bread with the germ and the bran. And what they were finding is that the life expectancy of those masters was about 50 to 60 years, where some of these slaves were living to be in their late 80s and 90s because they were eating the good stuff, and the master was getting all this other junk that's not complete. And the thing is, people like say, "Oh, well, I'm gluten intolerant, I can't eat," but you can. If you have the other 35 some odd nutrients that they take out, it helps. Some of that helps with digestion and everything. And I'm not telling you that this is 100% because I don't know. I've been doing this for 17 days, but I can tell you that, knowing that my wife for years and years and years couldn't eat a piece of bread without being sick within the hour. And I think the first piece that Sana gave was a couple of weeks ago. So she started with that. And then now we bought a mill, which wasn't, I think we have a total investment right now of about $300 to get. We already had a KitchenAid, tabletop KitchenAid. There's an attachment you get for like $134. And then we got like a bread maker that does everything in it for like $79 on Amazon. And then we bought some wheat that is certified organic. And then there's different kind of wheats. And I'm not going to get into all of that stuff because it just doesn't make any sense. Anyway, I'm going to go back over here and get to the other camera. Hang on a second. Okay, so I'm back. So anyway, oh, you missed the first 20 minutes. As soon as I finish sauna, you can look it up on YouTube. Um, Sana Johnson, who is asking questions here, she just recently reached out. Again, divine appointments. Connie and I pray for him all the time, and we would have never known that Sana had family that had issues with food unless Connie and her talked. And so again, God doesn't bring any two people together and not do something with it. And so we had the pleasure of spending the better part of the day yesterday in Sana's home, and she went over a lot of stuff, different things, because up until that point, Connie and I were just throwing everything in the spread maker and letting it do its thing, and that was fine. It was better than what we've been doing for the last 10 years, and so. Um, it was like we did everything. Yes, we made rolls and cinnamon rolls and pancakes or waffles and uh, and all kinds of. We made bread, and then we made what else did we make? I don't know. We There were cookies. They made cookies, and again, when you have all these different nutrients that aren't stripped from it, the way God made it and gave it to us, it's actually really good for you. And so again, I can tell you there I did some research over the last couple of days about every place in the Bible. Yes, we made pizza. That's right. She made pizza. Um, and the thing is, this stuff is healthy. It does lots of good stuff for your body, cleans your stomach out. You get your gut health back. But in a day and age when the almighty dollar is number one, all these big corporations, all they want to do is make as much money as they can, with the least that they have to give you. And what they're giving us is junk. I mean, just look at all the stuff that they put in our food. If you're buying regular chicken or beef off the shelf, it's got growth hormone, it's got antibiotics, it's got all kinds of junk that is not good for your body. And then you get stuff off the shelf and it's tons of preservatives, tons of stuff that makes people sick. So, is this life for everybody? No, it's not. Do I know if Connie and I are going to be able to sustain this long term? I don't know. It's a lot of work, but I know that being able to sit across the table from my wife and being able to eat the same stuff, being able to make a loaf of bread or dinner rolls or whatever we want to eat with our food, and knowing that it's healthy, it's going to help our body, is amazing. And just spending time with my wife in the kitchen is a blessing, especially with our busy lifestyles, because we're always doing something. And so again, I cannot tell you how great God is, how nothing that happens in your life is by chance. And so where do I go from here? I don't know. All I know is that we've changed our diets. Um, I've completely gotten off all the chemicals that Big Pharma had me on. And I can't thank Carrie enough for her knowledge. Carrie can walk out in the pasture back here and pull 15 different grasses and weeds, and every one of them has a purpose or a healing property for your life. And she knows how to do all that stuff. And so um, she's a wealth of information. And, Sana opening up her home and her knowledge to us was just amazing. And so, we're already planning on taking trees down over here behind the shop and making a proper garden, because I think this next year we're gonna grow some. I think we're gonna grow wheat, corn, and then we're gonna do all the winter vegetables and things that we've had big gardens before, but we get lazy and we don't want to do it. But now knowing um, how much we can change the way our bodies feel, and I'm full of energy. I don't have any stamina. I still have a hard time, going up to the roof, 5 times a day, or 10 times a day, or whatever I have to do for work. It kills me. And then I come home and I'm beat and I want to go to sleep, and then I can't sleep. So all those things are getting straightened out, and it's all natural. I'm not doing any chemicals whatsoever, and I don't want any. And you can do it. It's not impossible. It does take, a lot. um, so the ingredients that go along with the bread, we have to use fresh garden type items. Um, Let me see who's asking, because We're probably going to do that thing that we did before. We may do it, we may do like a traveling Crystal. Okay, Crystal. Um, Actually, Crystal, the wheat we get from Amazon and we mill it, and then the salt we buy from Amazon. I buy a salt that's not been refined, um, and then we use honey that we got from down the road at the guy that lives down the street on our road, um, Mark Spencer. We're using his honey as the sweetener that some of the recipes call for, and then the other stuff you have to. There is some things that you'll buy. I just try to get the organic stuff, and then we're even my coffee guy Ashley is. Yes, I will definitely. Connie and I will bake a loaf or two for that. Um, Shaughnessy has a really great organization um, that she does a big expo, a healthcare expo for veterans every year, and we've been blessed to be a supporter of her outfit. Um, but anyway, I just wanted to get on and give everybody. We haven't been doing the podcast every week like we were before. What I'm gonna try to do is I want to get Carrie and Sana and Connie and Jada all over here as a panel, and just talk about the alternatives that are out there, um, because I never saw myself as somebody that would go to um, an all holistic menu, all holistic when it comes to my healthcare. I've always been terrified that being overweight, that I was going to die of a heart attack. That's always been my fear. And I'm telling you, this morning when my cuff died, I guess, and it was telling me that my blood pressure was 190 over 120, I was certain that I was going to the hospital. And so Doc Watson came over there, took my blood pressure. He's not, no, man, you're good. You're like 130 over whatever. And I'm like, okay. And so that's just a testimony to all the things that God gave us on this earth is all we need to live, honestly. And wheat, 40 of the 44 essential nutrients to survive. People have been telling you for years, well, you can't live on bread alone. Oh, but you can. I'm not going to live on bread alone. Okay, I like meat, um, but we're all trying to do stuff that's cleaner. We're eating grass-fed beef and lamb, and we are in the process of adding a big chest freezer so we can buy a cow that's been grass fed, or half a cow or a quarter of a cow or something. And so, I think that's the salt that we buy, Eric. I think it's Redmond salt. I think that's the one we're getting. Um, Now that you mentioned, I'm pretty sure that's what we're getting. But anyway, if you have questions, please reach out. I don't have all the answers. I don't know where it's going to happen. 2 weeks from now, a month from now, when Connie and I are in the kitchen, you know, at least 3 times a week, after work, baking bread or doing whatever. Um, and I get tired, or she gets tired, or we have stuff that pops up. I don't know, but I know that we're going to find a way to make it a priority, because I don't want to go back on the chemicals that the doctors, prescribed to me for the last 20 years. And I had a doctor scare me many, many, many years ago when I was prescribed blood pressure medicine and I didn't take it. And he told me how he took this kid's kidney out because he wasn't taking his blood pressure medicine. And so since then, I've always worried about it. And 7 years ago, I got really, really light on my feet. I ended up about 218, and I was running and biking and swimming and doing all kinds of madness, which I would like to do again because I do really enjoy those things. But right now, trying to recover from all the chemicals that I've taken, um, I can't do it. Absolutely, brother. You will definitely um, uh, have a chat, man, because I'm all about sharing this with whoever. I think what we're going to do, when we're also going to try to get the ladies together. And, it's funny because when they said they were getting together, I told Connie, well, can I go? Because I really want to, I love cooking, and I don't, I love baking now too. I mean, I'll roll I like being in the kitchen with my wife at the same time, and both of us doing something. And so it's good for our marriage. And it's we're constantly talking about things that we listened to or heard or scripture and things like that. And I'm probably going to be doing some more study and pulling more stuff out of the scripture to share with you what the Bible says about all this stuff, because truly and honestly, God didn't put all this stuff on this earth for us to bulldoze it and eat a bunch of stuff that's processed in a lab. So um, that's where we're at. I've gone way longer than I thought I was going to go. I've had a lot of people watching, which is awesome. I really appreciate everybody who's popped in, and I can't shout out enough to Carrie. That woman has literally changed my life twice. Um, the first time, I'm pretty sure I would have either been stuck on opioids or I could have damaged something permanently had I not got off of them when I had my knee surgery. And then this last time, I was really scared. I'm not going to lie to you. I don't play that big macho, even though my mustache looks like I'm a big macho guy. But anyway, I was really scared when the doctor put me on all this medicine, and I couldn't get out of bed, and I was dizzy, and it's scary. And so um, now that I'm just on natural stuff, I feel great, and I know that my stamina is going to follow. And once I do, and I get back on my bike, it's going to be all over. I will get back down to 218, 220, which is where I'm very comfortable at. And so that's on its way. I know it is. Stay tuned for our Friday podcast. We are going to start scheduling guests. I'm trying to get a lawyer that I know who's a Christian and very conservative, trying to get him on the show. And you will all recognize him when I bring him on. And then, if you guys want to connect with Carrie, she's in here. Her name is Carrie Himes Evans, and she's in the comments somewhere. And so is Sana. But Sana's, they're both just angels. I mean, they're both actually answered prayers. Um, they're divine appointments. I pray for them every single morning, and those two ladies are definitely divine appointments. And even though Sana came by way of Connie, it's still God's way of putting people together. And nothing that he brings together does not prosper. His word always prospers. His actions always prosper. And so I'm just really stoked about not being on anything. And I have a lot more energy. I'm still working on, like I said, the stamina, because I do have a hard time getting through a full 8-hour day at work. And so there's some changes there as well that are coming for us. And we've got some other changes coming for the coffee business too. We're looking to secure some funds so that we can get somebody to work part-time for the business year round and continue to grow it while I'm at work. So with all that being said, stay tuned for the announcements for God Country Coffee, because, like I said, I'm going to try to schedule the ladies this coming week if they're all available. I don't know. And then we're also going to try to get my friend who's a lawyer in. And then we're also going to do a men's group. We're going to get some pastors in here that I know. And I really want the God Country Coffee to go back to what it was when we started, just a source of spiritual fulfillment for people that are looking for that, and information for people that just like, learning more about their faith. We've had some incredible guests, and I want to recycle some of the mentors and pastors so that we continue to fill that need, because, our business was never about selling coffee. It was always about ministry. It was always about handing out Bibles and sharing the gospel of Christ. It turned into a business because God blessed us. And then, he put some struggles in front of me. And instead of praising him in those trials, I decided to help him. And therefore, I started struggling. So now I'm back to trusting in him. And again, he's moving in a way that I can't even comprehend. And so he's put great people around us and in front of us. And that's the only way. I mean, it literally is the only way, is through Christ. And so if you're not there, reach out. I'd love to. Two things that I can talk your ears off about, that's coffee and God. So anytime that you've got 4 or 5 hours free, stop by the shop or give me a call, because because I'll talk your ear off about either one of them. And in a couple of months, we'll see how we're doing physically. I'll be doing progress reports as we go, as Connie and I continue on this journey, and I'll let you know how we're doing, with our health, because I think that as we continue to document it and have affirmations at different points, I think it's great to share with our community, because people want to know, and everybody's always on this. I'm the worst person, man. I'm guilty of. I've done all kinds of diets, soup diet, and I've done the fasting, and I've done the keto a bunch of times, and I've done carnivore, and and I'm not saying that any of those things might not work for you, but to sustain them long term, it's really difficult. And right now I'm eating. I'm not hungry. I don't even eat 3 meals anymore since we started. This bread is so filling. I eat like twice a day, really twice a day. And so, um, anyway, we'll see how it goes. We'll keep doing updates. We're going to get the God Country Coffee podcast going back in full effect. And there's also some fellows that have reached out, different people, and we might even start like a late week, Bible study, something. I don't know. I want to get back into doing Bible study, preparing lessons and stuff like that. I really enjoy that, and God just keeps blessing, and we got to keep being obedient to His will. So yeah, it absolutely does, Sana. It does. I stay full much longer. If I eat tortillas, listen, I'm going to eat two or three in the morning. And then if there's tacos left at lunch at work, I'll eat those. And then if there's any left in the afternoon, I'll snack, because it just doesn't fill you up. It's just nothing in it except for bad stuff that makes you sick. So anyway, Connie and I are really excited about what God's doing, about the people that He's brought into our life. And I hope that we all get to collectively share that with everybody and anybody we can, because it's just amazing. I think Sana and her husband have an amazing testimony with the way they're living their life, and their children, and they're all amazing. And so there's a lot of people like that. You just got to look for them, and got to get yourself into a good Bible-based church, and get active and pray for divine appointments, because man, God just throws people in front of you like nobody's business. So I love you guys. Like I always end my segments. Treat each other the way God intended us to treat one another, with love, kindness, and respect. And I will see you Friday at 7 p.m. for God Country Coffee. And who knows what we're going to talk about. All right. So stay tuned. Hit me up if you have questions. I'll put you with the right people. I don't know it all, but I'm learning, and I'm studying every single day. So love you guys. I'll see you guys Friday at 7. Have a great week. God bless you.